Community Conversations is a space that fosters conversation around topics important to us, with the purpose of creating an educational opportunity to teach, learn, work, and grow together.
Hello and welcome to 2023 first community conversation. Hope you all had a good end of last year, and that this year has been off to a good start. We're kicking this year off kind of spinning off from our last community conversation. Today we will talk about the topic of mental health, and as we really like to focus on solutions instead of issues and problems. We hope to give you some ideas what you can do for your mental health, and to feel better. And I will start by reading a few words from the World Health Organization that kind of defines what mental health is. So they write, mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well and work well, and contribute to their community. It is an integral component of health and well-being that underpins our individual and collective abilities to make decisions, build relationships, and shape the world we live in. Mental health is a basic human right, and it is crucial to personal, community, and socio-economic development. We will also have this link to this page in the description below. If you want to read more, and there you are again. Any thoughts?
I don't like the word cope. In that text.
Okay.
Or explanation.
Because
it sounds like you're doing something dreadful by taking care of yourself. I don't like it. I don't really have a better word for it. Just cope. So it just sounds really bad in my head.
Oh, yeah. And like many things, this is not a fixed state. It like fluctuates up and down and all around.
Yeah.
Sometimes multiple times a day.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, and Diva, just to riff on that, because we've talked about it before, like the power of words and the way like words can hit somebody, and I would agree that the word cope is a really interesting word to use, because it really is. It almost feels like, shaming somebody for, being where they're at. And again, like it's through the lens of like, they're not intentionally picking a word to shame somebody. They're trying to define it and doing a good, great, whatever kind of job. But it is just really interesting, I think. And I get you there, because I'm super passionate about words, and I've said it before. I don't know if it's like the songwriter in me or the lyricist or whatever
Probably.
it is. What's that?
Probably.
But I've become over the years like that much more sensitive to what words like feel really great inside of me or coming out of me, and then what words are like, oh, that word sucked. Didn't really love that one, through the lens of like why somebody's saying it or why somebody's putting it out there, and yeah. Anyways, just super interesting, but yeah, mental health. I do really love, if I can just, I'll finish off, I guess, and then pass the mic off. I really love that we're rooting this year in this topic, quite honestly, because it is a big one, and it's one that we all know we couldn't really talk enough about. We couldn't really provide enough, personal experience or personal strategy about, because through the lens of mental health, we're always learning. So what worked today might not work tomorrow, and what worked tomorrow might not work in a week, or what's going on today might not be going on a year from now, and might be a non-conversation a year from now, because we're in a better space a year from now. But being able to like reflect on like what works for us and will make next year even better than right now is, I think, a conversation that will never get old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that is not dependent on if you have spina bifida or hydrocephalus or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's a human thing.
Yeah.
So we all have these feelings and thoughts, right up and down, and in different stages of life.
Yeah.
So if we're starting to maybe share what are most valuable methods are that we ourselves are using to feel better mentally, physically, spiritually.
Yeah.
Diva, do you want to start off?
I do a lot of things. Most of all, the most important, I would say, me is sleep. If I don't get enough sleep, I can say that things don't work out, but it's harder. It's so much harder to concentrate, to move, to be amongst people and present myself the way I want to present myself and treat people the way I want to treat them. And not and also, it's when I'm tired, it's a lot easier to look down on myself, I've noticed, for really stupid things, like things that won't matter after like an hour or two. That critical voice it's easier to hear it when I'm really, really tired, which I really try to prioritize my sleep and rest overall, and not do too much if I don't feel that I have the energy. Meditation works really good for me. I find when I started meditating years ago, it just became something easy. It was easy for me. Training, of course, and trying to figure out what's the good amount of training for me, because I have a history of overtraining, training too much, and having injuries, unnecessary injuries. So that is still a big one for me, to not overtrain and not undertrain. Yeah.
Is there a magical amount of training days in a week for you?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I train differently for a different occasion. I would say it's like if my legs really hurt from nerve pain, I'm not going to train them really hard, because I've tried. That is not a good idea for me. Maybe it works for someone else, but for me, that's no go. So just trying to figure out what works, really, listen to my body as much as possible, which is, I mean, if you have spinal nerve injury, that can be sometimes a challenge to, like, what is my body doing right now? What the hell is going on?
What is it trying to say?
What do you want?
Yes. Please tell me what you want. What do you
I
want?
don't understand this communication. Why are you twitching? We're not doing anything.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Spinal
no,
bifida.
but yeah,
Which
exactly.
I think if I could just chime in there, because I love how we started this entire conversation out, and even in preparing the conversation through the definition and opening it up to all people, like opening the conversation of mental health up to all people, but then also through that specific lens, say through training and through training with spina bifida, also coming to recognize that, like, say even for somebody like me, if I'm training, and I mean it's different still, because I have run into occasions where my mind goes to, oh, I need to think about this, and I'm thinking about this now through the spina bifida lens, because I have spina bifida occulta. But somebody who, say, doesn't have a spinal cord injury or condition, and they're training, doesn't necessarily have to think about their spine doing something that is like out of the ordinary necessarily, or different for them, or like when I, so say I was doing CrossFit, and like one of the things was like do a bunch of push-ups, and all of a sudden I start feeling this pressure at the base of my spine, and I'm like, oh shoot, like what? Okay, and so I adapted how I was doing those push-ups, so I didn't feel that pressure anymore. Whereas somebody that doesn't necessarily live with spina bifida, or it's just not something they're necessarily thinking about, because it's not, you know, it's not a part of their experience in the world, if that makes sense. So it's just so interesting in the layers to this conversation, if that makes sense.
And
Definitely.
I recognize a similar situation when I do deadlifts. There are days when I can't do them because of my legs and my lower back, because it just doesn't want to work the way I need it to work. And figuring that out, and try to find ways where I can still train and not beat myself up when it doesn't function one day, because sometimes I have good days, sometimes I have bad days, sometimes it doesn't work at all. That is also a part of mental health, not accepting that this is how this body functions. And there's nothing wrong with that. And not sit there and feel like a shitty human being because I could lift 50 kilos a couple of days ago, but now I can't. Yeah. Then we'll try something else, or we'll try next time.
Yeah.
And it's not it was a big deal in the beginning. Absolutely. It was a huge deal. I didn't want to continue training at all. Because if I can't do this thing, then I'm not going to train at all. Yeah. But I gave it some time, and slowly I came back to it and continued, and no, it's a cliche, but it is the way it is. And I'm happy with the progress I'm making, because it is a progress. I've made huge progress.
Sorry, I just through Diva, through the lens of everything you've been sharing, can I actually ask, did you, when you were like being hard on yourself for all those things that weren't happening or whatever, were you in that mental state, were you seeing as much progress as were you seeing as much progress then in that state, or did you start to see more progress when you started to like redefine your own goals and your own
Yes. When I didn't, but when I was the hardest on myself and didn't see any progress, it was these really unrealistic expectations. Like, I'm supposed to be lifting this much because at my age, at my strength, you're supposed to be doing this. And it doesn't work like that for everyone. We all are different. We all have different, we are all on different stages, different strengths. I mean, we function differently from day to day. All of us, despite of injury or not. You have good days, you have bad days, you have really amazing days, and you have really shitty days, and that's life. But that was really hard to accept, that I wasn't, I was here, but I wanted to be over there in like an instant. But I also have this goal from when I was very young, that I wanted to give myself a couple of things that I didn't feel that I received growing up, which was time, taking my time, discovering at my own pace. Once that kicked in, that I can apply that to things like training, that really helped. And also people around me were super supportive.
Which I feel is like another big piece. I mean, if you don't have supportive people around you, then that is something that has to change. And that is, I think anyways, a direct relation to your own health and your own thoughts inside your own head. And then those thoughts inside your own head start to come out of your mouth, and it creates this, and then when it comes out of your mouth, you receive that same energy back, and mentally it just literally becomes this cycle of, oh, this isn't healthy, this isn't good, this we're not going to get better with this process of.
Exactly. Like we've said so many times on this podcast, that we need other people. We need other people to reflect, to help us. I wouldn't be where I am today regarding my training if I didn't have supportive people that I trusted, that I could ask questions and seek guidance, and people that were honest with me and helped me in a constructive way to get better. And also understand that no, it's not possible for you. The result is it doesn't work, and we need to find some acceptance in that.
And maybe find another way of doing it.
Or just doing something else and accept that, no, I can't do this. I'm not built that way, and be fine with it.
Yeah.
Totally.
How about you, Danny?
Yeah. What does your list look like?
Before we, like both of you, there's several different things. So I was trying to in my brain, like really come down to some of the specifics. And for me, I know that, and we know that I'm a shameless idealist. I see the best in everybody and everything, and I'm always looking for that. That I think is a beautiful thing. I love that about myself. I do. But I also have to redefine those things sometimes, because redefining expectations in myself and redefining expectations in other people is, for me, so it's become so important to also taking care of myself. Because like when I set a goal for so long, I was like, I'm not going to meet that deadline. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to meet it. I'm not going to do it. Like what did fight or flight, like that kind of idea of like, I set that goal, I'm not going to achieve it. And it's like, Danny, man, like you set a deadline or a goal in terms of a release date so that you've got a sense of direction. Sometimes, and it's so normal, it's normal for, because of whatever, that deadline, you're just not going to meet that deadline. Shift the deadline. Is it ultimately, at the end of the day, is it the end of the world? No, it's not. Shift the deadline. Remove your own pride for not getting stuff done the way you said you'd get it done, and shift the deadline. It's not a big deal. Danny, you yourself are making it a bigger deal in your own brain than it has to be. So shift the deadline, redefine your own expectation of the way you had it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Ultimately, Danny, nobody cares as much about this as you do. So, like, chill out, man. So for me, those things have honestly been a lifesaver mentally, and some of the time there's absolutely like, this has to get done, it's got to get done, it's got to get done. Absolutely, there's moments like that for sure. Like releasing a song, if I announce that on a day it's coming out and it's like I've messed something up and we missed the deadline, I'll be pretty bummed out with myself, because like, announced to the world it was coming out, but then you figure out how to pivot and you just do it, and that's fine. It's not a huge deal. In 10 years, nobody's going to remember that the song came out 2 days later than it should have.
Everyone, write it in your calendars.
For me, redefining expectations for myself has been a big thing. Redefining my expectations of other people has also been a big thing, because it's like so easy for me to see like all the possibilities in somebody else. It's so easy for me to do that, and I love that, but that person might not see themselves in the same way, and I need to remember that, and I need to not hold somebody accountable to their own greatness as I do. I can see that, and that's beautiful, but I can't go like, what the heck, when somebody's not doing something, because it's like they've got their own process, and that is their process. It has nothing to do with me. So why am I getting so like torn up because they're not, doing what I believe that they could do? And it's like, Danny, man, you can't control that.
It's not your process.
No,
It is a totally different thing if you know the person and you hang out with the person and they tell you that this is what I want to do.
Yes, 100%.
This is how I'm going to do it, and this is my deadline. So you can hold them accountable if they don't, and you can support them, give them feedback, whatever they need. But if no one told you what the goal is, it's like, I rarely tell people what my goals are. Just I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I hold myself accountable pretty well, I would say.
Yeah.
Sometimes I beat myself up if I don't exceed my own expectations.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do need help from other people, and then I tell them this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it, and I need your help. But if that's not said, if you, well, everyone needs a bit of a help sometimes, but we still need to remember that you might not know what this process is about.
Yeah.
And be a bit cautious with what we expect of them.
Yeah.
Because that it might not be the same thing as we think that it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, to bring it back to like even music, I can remember when I started teaching music, and I grew up in a very traditional type of music lesson, and I'm so grateful for my experience because it taught me a lot, and it's made me the performer and musician I am today. In terms of I studied with a retired professional singer from the Phantom of the Opera. She knew what she was doing. She was incredible, and I still go see her sometimes to have my own butt kicked. So I grew up learning technique and learning all those fundamentals. And so when I stepped into teaching music way back when, that's how I was kind of approaching it. And I began to realize that a lot of people who were coming to me weren't necessarily coming to me with those goals in mind, and weren't necessarily coming to me with that expectation. So I was like, okay, I need to maybe figure out how to be a different teacher than what I grew up with. And it's not better or worse, it's different. It's meeting people where they're at, and using my abilities to do so to meet their goals, and their goal may or may not be to ever pursue music, and that is fine, absolutely fine, more than fine. But let's talk about what it is we're doing here, and figure that out, and then be patient through that process, versus like, no, I know you can do it. And then at the end of the day, they're like, oh my God, Danny's a little like, oh, what the, and I'm like, angry because, what the heck? Diva's not hitting those notes, and I know she can, and if she just supported her voice more with her breath, and at the end of the day, I'm the one who, can't sleep at night, because I have unrealistic expectations of what your goals are. And it's like,
please don't tell me that you have sleepless nights over me.
Not because of you, Diva. Not because of you.
Thank you.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, because it is, and I've learned that over the years in terms of, and that's one of my first questions is in working with anybody, is what is your goal here? What's the vision? What's the goal? If I'm helping somebody write a song, I don't want to go fishing for the song that you're going to love, because if I'm going fishing, I may or may not catch a hit. So right off the bat, what is one or two songs that inspire you, that you would love to hear your song sound like? It's not going to be exactly that song, but if you tell me that you're inspired by U2 or Coldplay, or you put a song in front of me like One, okay, cool. I now have a better understanding the artist that you're trying to be and the song that you're trying to write. And I'm not going and writing a song that sounds like Metallica, because that's not who you are. So it's
that would be very counterproductive.
yeah. So it's and it's taken me a long time to figure that out. But meeting people where they're at, for the sake of people, but also for the sake of myself as well. So I'm not mentally hurting myself.
Super important.
Yeah.
Super important to meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
Start at their level, and also being it's somebody else or yourself. I mean, you have your baseline.
Yeah.
It's like you can start here if your ground is here, and where you're at energetically, emotionally, physically is here. You might want to be up here, but then you have steps to take, and it's not going to be like overnight or next hour.
Yeah.
Development takes time. And I mean, most of us have like 70, 80 years to develop skills and our personalities or whatever. I mean,
it's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm fully developed.
and like,
Yeah.
What
so
the
what
hell?
do the rest of your life?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're fine with your life being the way that it is today, great, amazing. But if there's some little voice inside of you going, but wait,
Yeah.
I want more, please, then for the sake of you,
Yeah.
listen to that voice, to that feeling, to that little picking inside of you going, no, listen.
Can I just chime in there, because so before we hopped on here, I was editing this little video, and when I was a young singer-songwriter, had a lot to learn. I still have a lot to learn, but I had a lot more to learn then. And I've always had like big goals and ambitions. And I remember turning 19, because, when I turned 19, I was like, I'm so bummed out, because my favorite band, U2, they're like touring the world already. And like I was like comparing to like their level of success and the big dreams that I had and the big goal, like everything that I should be doing already at 19 and all the things that I hadn't achieved yet. And the lyric of the first lyric of this new song that's coming out next month is like wine gets better with age. And it's kind of based around this idea of falling in love with the process and not comparing to somebody else's process. And I centered it around wine for two reasons. I have grown up in wine country, and I've always wanted to incorporate the theme of wine into a song. But
And you did.
I've always tried to, and it's always been like, oh, this sounds super cheesy. And so for the first time ever, it like made sense, because wine, you like the process of making wine is a challenging one, because the process in itself takes a lot of time to get it to a point of like, oh, this is a great wine. You know, you get it all ready, and then you bottle it, and then sometimes it has to sit for a bunch of years before it's even ready to drink, before it's ready. And I kind of related it to this idea of like, you cannot rush your own process. You cannot rush. You know, I at 19, I had super unrealistic goals of myself, my talent abilities, I had super unrealistic vision for myself, and I wasn't listening to people enough, and I had all these things inside of myself that were so unrealistic, and all of that came back to, I don't want to say an unhealthy mindset, because I just had big dreams and goals, but it definitely led to like deep sadness in moments like that, where I was just like, I was super bummed out, because like I felt like I wasn't moving quick enough, and it was like, yeah, man, just continue to grow, continue to fall in love with the process, continue to remember not what you're doing, but why you're doing it. And then everything will make sense when it's meant to make sense. But until that point, continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to surround yourself with like minds, continue to dig deeper into why it is you do what you do, and stop beating yourself up for it mentally.
Yeah, I think we all can relate to that 19-year-old going, I want to be here, I want to be there, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it's gonna happen now. Why is it not happening now?
Or last week.
Or last week.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
When is it gonna happen?
As soon as I popped out.
Why haven't I come further?
Yeah.
And I can relate that to where I'm at now, in terms of my physical body and my mental state as well. For the last 3 years, being pandemic and shunt hydrocephalus shit and all, everything comes at the same time, of course. It's like, and
Because why not?
yes, because why not? The theme of my life, as it seems. Hopefully I'm not alone in that. But anyway, I spent so much time beating myself up, going and thinking like, why don't I have the same energy as I had in 2019 or 18 or before? Why can't I do these things? Why is my memory less than it was then. And like, it was really, really hard and still hard, but I came to the conclusion like a year ago that it's not that strange that I don't have the same energy and memory and all that, because in less than 2 years, I went through 7 brain surgeries.
Wow. Wow.
It's not strange.
Mhm. Mhm.
So be kinder to yourself.
Ina, can I ask you something
Sure.
on that topic? Because your experience and over the course of like the last year or two has been really challenging, surgery wise and everything. What is like what is one thing that you try and do every day to just keep the upbeat attitude and style that we always know you by, even through the toughness of the past 2 years? Like what's one thing you try and do every day to keep that up?
It's not only one thing, but I have come to realize that, especially now, in the middle of winter, now being the end of January, when it's dark, not much snow that lights up, it's super important to me to have some daylight, some maybe it's just 15 minutes outside, moving my body, taking in fresh air and daylight. It's so important to me. And also surround myself with family and close friends that I can get strength from, and like ground and really recharge.
Yeah. Cool.
I think that is my main things.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
letting me share.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, it is, as we've talked about, it's the conversation of mental health is ongoing forever, regardless. It knows no age. It really knows no age. How do you continue to grow in life and get older in life with good mental health, and all those things. So um, yeah. And especially through the lens of, in this case, through the lens of spina bifida and or hydrocephalus, the topic of mental health can be so focused on so many different things as well. I mean, even through this process of what your last year, 2 years have looked like, have been tough, and through the conversation of mental health, there are people in the world who will never and don't ever experience the past 2 years the way you have. You know, in other ways, they've got their own stuff going on, but you know, how many people can reflect on how many brain surgeries they've had, and how that affects the body, how that affects the mind, how that affects so many things.
Yeah, because when I was in the middle of it, I got in this super focus, like get this shit sorted out, that I didn't have space to feel or check in mentally, emotionally. How am I feeling in all of this? It was like, get this shit done, or you might not be here, like on a physical level. Like get this surgery, or you will die. And now when all that has slowed down and it's not on a critical level anymore, it's like now I can go deeper and check in on my feelings and thoughts, and thank God we have counselors and therapists in this world. To get help from. I mean, because sure you can figure stuff out by yourself, but it becomes on another level when there is another person asking you questions, making you think and stop and feel. Like, but have you thought about this in this way or this way? Could you shift your focus or whatever?
Yeah, heck yeah. Perspective is key.
Definitely.
Heck
Diva,
yeah.
do you have any thoughts anymore?
Yeah, I thought about, just as like you said, the importance of doing the thing that is most important, which is not always feeling your feelings or making yourself feel good. Sometimes it's the first thing is to survive, and then the rest will come later.
And to find another different ground, a new normal. Like, but what if this is my new base? Would that be okay? And that has taken time, but now I can say yes, if this is how my body would feel for the rest of my life or next years, then yes. And of course, as you grow older, I mean, all of us, our bodies physically change, so you constantly have to re-evaluate what your new baseline is.
Yeah.
And I speaking of having someone to talk to, of course there are therapists, counselors, but also having this,
Yeah.
like, close friends that you can share and reach out to, saying, do you have a minute?
Yeah. Yeah.
That might be all that requires for that day, or that moment. Connections.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
And having community.
And it is, I mean, look, both of you are in Sweden and I'm here in Canada, and we've truly never lived in a time where it's been so easy to connect with somebody, whether it be in person or online. We've never lived in an easier time to be able to do that, which is so exciting. Would I love to be in the same room as both of you? Absolutely.
When are you moving to Sweden, Mr. Lam?
Soon, someday. But
on record.
But it's, again, like, especially through the lens of like redefining expectation. I could sit here angrily and be angry that I can't be in the same room as the both of you. Just slam my laptop and or I could celebrate how awesome it is that we can connect here. Whereas 100 years ago, people would have died for this experience because they didn't genuinely have the opportunity or the technology to be able to recognize that, hey, I'm here in the world living with spina bifida. I don't know anybody else around me. I don't have any way to connect with anybody else around me. Whereas today we do. So am I going to sit here angrily and be super upset because I am upset that I can't see you both in the same room? I could do that if I wanted to.
If you're going to, please record. I want to see it.
I will. Just for you, I will. But I'm going to sit here and celebrate the fact that we in 2023 can actually be real friends and actually create real community through this beautiful thing that we know as technology. And, you know, is it going to be so incredibly awesome come the day that we're in the same room? Yes, it will be. But is this incredibly awesome? Yes, it is. It's awesome. And this, I know it brightens up my day. So thank you both. And I'm excited for this to continue to brighten up the days every month for the next 12 months or 11 months, because we're in January now.
And this is actually better than writing because we can see each other even if we're not in the same room.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a realization, I think, that in the beginning of last year that sure, internet is fine, but I prefer this.
Yeah.
I want to see the people that I'm talking to if I can't be with them in the same room, which is really important to me.
Yeah.
that connection face to face.
Mhm.
It's like writing, no, I probably won't respond if I don't know you.
Oh.
If it's not really something really interesting,
Yeah.
I
Oh.
prefer that, or in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Soon we will see each other in person.
yeah.
Soon.
Great. Yeah. Great last words.
Heck
Yeah.
yes. Heck yes.
Yes.
And we would so love to have more of you joining our conversation. So reach out on our social media, comment in the section below. If you haven't, you know what to do. Subscribe and find us on Facebook and Instagram and email and
All of the pages.
All
all the pages. I don't know. I feel quite old when I'm going. I don't know all the social platforms anymore.
Where do we exist on the internet?
everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Anyway, find a Song City. Wherever. See you next month, February, for another topic